Hi there, my name is William Bird and I'm about to start the chat with a GP, and we're going to talk about artificial sweeteners, those things that seem to be almost too good to be true. No calories, lots of sweetness, don't need very much of it, brilliant for the environment. So is it really that good, or are we being conned, or are we missing something? Well, I've gone through all the evidence and here's my results. So let's go through and find out what these things are and whether they're ones that we should be avoiding or whether we should be bucketing it and taking loads of it into ourselves to help us lose weight. First of all, what are they? Well, these are chemicals. First one, saccharin, 1850, and the others have been made since then. And they are big business. Here are the ones that you probably know of, but they have all been made artificially. So they're not natural, these ones. And that's important to remember. There are some natural ones, stevia and monk fruit. They've been around for thousands of years in humans, dipping it in tea to make hot sweet tea, and the monk fruit in the Far East. So these are sweeteners, but they're a lot sweeter than sugar. But they've also got, when it's intact with the leaf, you've got all the antioxidants and the other natural products. But when we look at the sweetness of them, it's really quite shocking. Some of these new ones, these new chemicals, are 20,000 times sweeter than sugar. Even the ones that we use on the tabletops, etc., they're about 200 to 500 times sweeter. So you need far, far less to get the same impact. Most of them have got bitter taste, so we have to mix together. But that's their attraction to the food companies, where they just have to buy a lot less rather than just have loads of kilograms of sugar to go forward. And then you've got this other group, and these are often forgotten, sugar alcohols. They're about the same sweetness as sugar, but they got less calories, going from half a number of calories almost down to, just 1 or 2% of the calories. And their glycemic index as a result is much lower. So it means that when you take it in, you don't get this big surge and insulin going up, which is so damaging for diabetes. But what it does is you get a slow release throughout the body. And they've got other properties as well. They're good for gut health, they mineralize teeth, they help with congestion, they're good for your gut, they've got antioxidants, loads of things that seem to be, and they're natural. They're found in all of these things. We consume them whenever we eat any fruit or veg. So they're not kind of manufactured, except for isomalt, which was made from sugar beet. So that is the only one that's not naturally available. So we've got a perfect lot of chemicals and natural products here. So let's go for it. Oh, and then a WHO comes along and spoils the party. So what are they on about? What have they got a problem with? Well, let's have a look and see why they think that sweeteners should not be used for weight control. Well, this study done in 28,000 women back in 1985, a long time ago. But what they found was that those who use artificial sweeteners put on more weight than those who didn't. So if you look at those graphs there, 41% put on more weight, 22% lost weight, and with the no, 32% put on weight, 23% lost weight. So it made no difference at all statistically, and actually looking at it, it made it a bit worse. You actually put on a bit more weight. So what is happening? Well, let's have a look at the big picture. Obesity going up here, sugar going up, and bang, suddenly in 2000, sugar starts dropping and the artificial sweeteners go up. But look at obesity, it continues to go up. So clearly there is a problem somewhere that's not being addressed, and this is not the solution, having these artificial sweeteners. So what's going on? Well, first of all, when you take an artificial sweetener, you don't get that kind of lovely buzz and that feel in the dopamine like you do with sugar. But more importantly, the taste buds in the mouth actually keep on going all the way through the gut. So you get a locking in of the sweetness into the gut, and that receptor there then releases insulin and a hormone called leptin and other hormones as well to make you feel full. But if there are no calories attached to it, the body kind of works that one out, and it doesn't give any of the insulin and it doesn't give any of the hormone to say you're full. So you continue to feel empty. You can still, it's empty calories. You literally, the body knows what's going on. So it's now looking around for new food. So what you tend to do then is you now then make up for those lost calories by eating something else and snacking on something different. So in the end, your calories all balance out. And some of these have been really short term, and just in a few weeks, you can see there's no difference in weight loss. Some people, if they're drinking lots of canned drink, they do lose weight because the amount of sugar has dropped significantly, and that was making up a lot of their fatness. But for the majority of people, it doesn't seem to make much difference. Just a quick thing, be careful about the labelling, etc. This says 0 calories, Truvia, leaf extract, nice little leaf there. Actually, this is erythritol, 99%, with a little bit of stevia in it, and that's one of the chemicals from stevia. So it's, the leaf is long gone. So actually, although it's absolutely fine, because erythritol is one of those ones which is good, and stevia, as we'll see, is good as well, it's not quite what it says on the tin. So just be careful when you're looking at the ingredients of what you're actually getting with these things. So let's have a look at stevia. It's, almost too good to be true. And I'll show you a book which is really kind of trying to rattle the cages of the manufacturer by saying there are lots of things that are wrong. But I did look at the evidence, and I do think it is pretty much okay, very much, in fact, okay. So it does seem to have an anti-diabetic properties. It means that the insulin, when it locks onto those taste receptors in the gut, do seem to be actually producing a bit of insulin. And it also does actually have some inflammation, which reducing capabilities. But it does seem to be detrimental on the gut biome, not in every study, but in quite a few studies. And it's a long shot from when the tribesmen used to use the leaves, the whole leaf, with all those chemicals in it and the antioxidants, to now when we just extract one of them called Reb A out of it, chuck the leaf away. And that's where their problem is, that it's actually not really natural. It's just extracting one chemical from it and then taking that and using that. So WHO then came along and said, look, we've made these decisions because we've looked at all the evidence. This is a systematic review and meta-analysis, but they'd also found out a bit more as well. So they said the weight loss could be a little bit there in short-term studies, but not a huge amount. And longer-term studies, nothing at all really showed of weight loss. But they also increased the risk of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and an early death. And there was a little tiny risk of bladder cancer, saccharin, which the FDA and the Europeans don't quite agree with. But I'd say there's enough there to get a little bit concerned, and therefore I think we should do. But the thing I really got struck by was for pregnancy. So women who take these artificial sweeteners in bigger amounts have a 25% increased risk of preterm births, more likely to have an overweight child or an obese child up to the age of 7. I think that's pretty scary, and I wouldn't want any of my patients with who are pregnant to actually have these artificial sweeteners with those kind of figures. Is it good on the environment? Well, actually, it is. It's brilliant on the environment. So all these artificial sweeteners, which are considerably more sweet than sugar, you need far less of them, and therefore their imprint, their carbon footprint is much, much lower. Their water footprint is lower, and their land footprint is lower. So you can say pat on the back for them for this. Actually, if you can't actually see the neotame, which is, I've got 4 things there, and you can see 3 of them in the first one, you can only see 2 of them in the second. That's because neotame is so sweet, 13,000 times sweeter than sugar, that the numbers are tiny, absolutely tiny. So it's really good environmental footprint. So what's the verdict? Well, it's pretty bad in pregnancy. We know it's also not particularly good for your diabetes and increasing the risk. We know there's probably some cardiovascular problems as well. The gut biome is affected, which is probably causing inflammation, which is probably causing some of these other problems, but not stevia. Stevia doesn't have that inflammatory problem. It does have the gut biome, and there's little or no weight loss. So there's some pretty bad things here, which I think are enough to put us a little bit more concerned and at risk. So what do we do? Well, I think it's fairly simple. I think we moderate everything, as we always do. That's what, as doctors always say, you've got to moderate in everything. And I think the moderation should be on sugars. Now, if you're overweight or obese, you will want more sugar than someone who's thin or normal weight. So try and lose that weight and you won't have that need to have so much sugar to get the same fix. Honey and maple syrup have got all the antioxidants. They are the same as sugar. They are sugars, but they've also got a low glycemic index, so you don't get those big peaks. So they're better than sugar. But I would avoid the artificial sweeteners, those ones we saw right at the beginning, particularly if you're pregnant. If you do need sweeteners, I would go for the unrefined stevia, not just where they've taken the product, but where they've left the leaves and the drops and the oils, and you can get them online or in health food shops. And the sugar alcohols, any substances that have got that, they're pretty good as well. And that with the books as well, which is coming through now. Yep, Stevia Deception does really go to town about stevia. The Toxic Food Additives, brilliant Bible. And if you're really a bit nerdy, you can go for the WHO report. And good luck with that. So with that, I will say thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure. Hopefully that's crammed it in just over the 10 minutes, but that is the evidence of the artificial sweeteners, and look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very, very much for listening. Bye-bye.